My darling philosophers, welcome to our daily devotional reading. I hope you are keeping well. Let's close our eyes and sink into the moment. Sink into the silence. Sink into the being. The being where we are all one, we're all connected. Away from this illusion of separation. The illusion of what we tell ourselves must be real. Because that is tradition. That is what brought us safe thus far. It is not what will lead us home. Realizing that we are all connected, we are all one, that will carry us through this chaos and bring us to a brighter tomorrow on the other side. May it be so. So be it. I am recording this on the 18th of August. I decided to pick it up again, but I do not intend to release it publicly until I'm done with all the recordings. I do not want to expose you any longer to my instability. And I think that way I myself will also feel safer and be able to handle the changes in me without the fear of being seen for the wacky woman that I am. Let us read Plato. I completely forgot that I need something to take notes with. Luckily, I've got books all around me. This is a drawing book, though. But it'll do. It's full of pictures in the back of people that I need to draw. So maybe I'll just write on some of the pictures. Socrates. Seeing then that there are these two evils, the doing injustice and the suffering injustice, and we affirm that to do injustice is a greater, and to suffer injustice a lesser evil, by what device can a man succeed in obtaining the two advantages, the one of not doing and the other of not suffering injustice? Must he have the power, or only the will to obtain them? The wish is the other translation. I mean to ask whether a man will escape injustice if he has only the will to escape, or must he have provided himself with power? He must have provided himself with power, that is clear, Callicles responded. Socrates. And what do you say of doing injustice? Is the will only sufficient, and will that prevent him from doing injustice? Or must he have provided himself with power and art? And if he have not studied and practiced, will he be unjust still? Surely you might say, Callicles, whether you think that Polus and I were right in admitting the conclusion that no one does wrong voluntarily, but that all do wrong against their will. Granted, Socrates, if you will only have done. Socrates. Then, as would appear, power and art have to be provided in order that we may do no injustice. Callicles. Certainly. Socrates. And what art will protect us from suffering injustice, if not wholly, yet as far as possible? I want to know whether you agree with me, for I think that such an art is the art of one who is either a ruler, or even tyrant himself, or the equal and companion of the ruling power. Callicles. Well said, Socrates, and pleased to observe how ready I am to praise you when you talk sense. Socrates. Think and tell me whether you would approve of another view of mine. To me every man appears to be most a friend of him who is most like him. Like to like, as ancient sages say. Would you not agree to this? Callicles. I should. Socrates. But when the tyrant is rude and uneducated, he may be expected to fear any one who is his superior in virtue, and will never be able to be perfectly friendly with him. That is true. Neither will he be a friend of anyone who is greatly his inferior, for the tyrant will despise him and will never seriously regard him as a friend. That again is true. Socrates. Then the only friend worth mentioning whom the tyrant can have will be one who is of the same character, and has the same likes and dislikes, and is at the same time willing to be subject and subservient to him. He is the man who will have power in the state, and no one will injure him with impunity. Is not that so? Yes. And if a young man begins to ask how he may become great and formidable, this would seem to be the way. He will accustom himself from his youth onward to feel sorrow and joy in the same occasions as his master, and will contrive to be as like him as possible. Yes. And in this way he will have accomplished, as you and your friends would say, the end of becoming a great man and not suffering injustice or injury. Callicles. Very true. Socrates. But will he also escape from doing injury? Must not the very opposite be true, if he is to be like the tyrant in his injustice, and have influence with him? Will he not rather contrive to do as much wrong as possible, and not be punished? True. Socrates. And by the imitation of his master and by the power which he thus acquires, will not his soul become bad and corrupted? And will not this be the greatest evil to him? Callicles. You always contrive somehow or other, Socrates, to invert everything. Do you not know that he who imitates the tyrant will, as he has a mind, kill him who does not imitate him and take away his goods? Socrates. Excellent, Callicles. I am not deaf, and I have heard that a great many times from you and from Polus and from nearly every man in the city. But I wish that you would hear me too. I dare say that he will kill him if he has a mind. The bad man will kill the good and true. Callicles. And is not that just the provoking thing? Socrates. Nay, not to a man of sense. As the argument shows, do you think that all our cares should be directed to prolonging life to the uttermost, and to the study of those arts which secure us from danger always, like that art of rhetoric which saves men in courts of law, and which you advise me to cultivate? Callicles. Yes, truly, and good advice too. Socrates. Well, my friend, but what do you think of swimming? Is that an art of any great pretensions? Callicles. No, indeed. It is very good for you, swimming, though. I should swim more. I don't swim a lot. I swam a lot when I was a kid. Well, swim is maybe taking it a bit too far. I can do this and underwater. Socrates. And yet surely swimming saves a man from death, and there are occasions on which he must know how to swim. And if you despise the swimmers, I will tell you of another and greater art, the art of the pilot, who not only saves the souls of men, but also their bodies and properties from the extremity of danger. Like the rhetoric, the pilot here is referring to the captain of the ship, the sailor, the one who sails. Yet his art is modest and unpresuming. It has no airs or pretensions of doing anything extraordinary, and in return for the same salvation which is given the pleader, demands only 2 obols. If he brings us from Aegina to Athens, or for the longer voyage from Pontus or Egypt, at the utmost 2 drachmae, when he has saved, as I was just now saying, the passenger and his wife and children and goods, and safely disembarked them at the Piraeus. This is the payment which he asks in return for so great a boon. And he who is the master of the art, and has done all this, gets out and walks about on the seashore by his ship in an unassuming way, for he is able to reflect and is aware that he cannot tell which of his fellow passengers he has benefited, and which of them he has injured in not allowing them to be drowned. He knows that they are just the same as when he has disembarked them as when they embarked, and not a whit better either in their bodies or in their souls. And he considers that if a man who is afflicted by great and incurable bodily diseases is only to be pitied for having escaped, and is in no way benefited by him in having been saved from drowning, much less he who has great and incurable diseases, not of the body but of the soul, which is the more valuable part of him. Neither is life worth having, nor any other profit to the bad man, whether he be delivered from the sea, or the law courts, or any other devourer. And so he reflects that such a one had better not live, for he cannot live well. And this is the reason why the pilot or sailor, captain, ship captain, although he is a savior, is not usually conceited, and more than the engineer, or is not at all behind either the general or the pilot or anyone else in his saving power, for he sometimes saves whole cities. Is there any comparison between him and the pleader? And if we were to talk, Callicles, in your grandiose style, he would bury you under a mountain of words, declaring and insisting that we ought all of us to be engine makers, and that no other profession is worth thinking about. He would have plenty to say. Nevertheless, you despise him and his art, and sneeringly call him an engine maker, and you will not allow your daughters to marry his son, or marry your son to his daughters. And yet, on your principle, what justice or reason is there in your refusal? What right have you to despise the engine maker and the others whom I was just now mentioning? I know that you will say, I am better born. But if the better is not what I say, and virtue consists only in a man saving himself and his, whatever may be his character, then your censure of the engine maker and the physician and the other arts of salvation is ridiculous. Oh, my friend, I want you to see that the noble and the good may possibly be something different from saving and being saved. May not he who is truly a man cease to care about living a certain time? He knows, as the women say, that no man can escape fate, and therefore he is not fond of life. He leaves all that with God and considers in what way he can best spend his appointed term, whether by assimilating himself to the constitution under which he lives, as you at this moment have to consider how you may become as like as possible to the Athenian people, if you mean to be in their good graces, and to have power in the state, whereas I want you to think and see whether this is for the interest of either of us. I would not have us risk that which is dearest on the acquisition of this power, like the Thessalian enchantresses, who, as they say, bring down the moon from heaven at the risk of their own perdition. It was said of an eclipse. Funny. But as you suppose that any man will show you the art of becoming great in the city, and yet not conforming yourself to the ways of the city, whether for better or worse, then I can only say that you are mistaken, Callicles. For he who would deserve to be the true natural friend of the Athenian Demus, I of the Pyralympis darling who is called after him, must be by nature like them, and not an imitator only. He then who will make you most like them will make you as you desire, a statesman and orator, for every man is pleased when he is spoken to in his own language and spirit, and as likes any other. But perhaps you, sweet Callicles, may be of another mind. What do you say, Callicles? Somehow or other your words, Socrates, always appear to me to be good words. And yet, like the rest of the world. I am not quite convinced by them. Let him who has ears hear. Socrates, the reason is, Callicles, that the love of Deimos, the public, which abides in your soul, is an adversary to me. But I dare say that if we recur to these same matters and consider them more thoroughly, you may be convinced for all that. Please then to remember that there are two processes of training all things, including body and soul. In the one, as we said, we treat them with a view to pleasure, and in the other with a view to the highest good. And then we do not indulge with, but resist them. Was not that the distinction which we drew? Very true. And the one which had pleasure in view was just a vulgar flattery. Was not that another of our conclusions? Be it so, if you will have it. And the other had in view the greatest improvement of that which was ministered to, whether body or soul. Quite true, Socrates. And must we not have the same end in view in the treatment of our city and citizens? Must we not try and make them as good as possible? For we have already discovered that there is no use in imparting to them any other good, unless the mind of those who are to have the good, whether money or office or any other sort of power, be gentle and good. Shall we say that? Callicles, yes, certainly, if you like. Thus for our reading. The will or the wish not to suffer or to do injustice, and the power to do so. Not to suffer, the power of that lies into making yourself strong in worldly ways. Making yourself in a position that is untouchable. The will or wish not to do injustice, the more noble one. Also that the power to do so must be cultivated, if we truly want to be able to do what we wish to do. How do we do that? How do we cultivate our power to be good? That's what it boils down to. Our power to not do injustice. Because only he or she who is just themselves can do justice. Only he or she who is good themselves can do the good. And so it is clearly a matter of self-transformation. Who do we mold ourselves to? I wrote here, sacrificing power for power. And Kastrup. I still haven't started Bernardo Kastrup's book. Maybe today. Maybe not. I'll see what if time allows. Sacrificing power for power. The illusion of power. That we are in control. And that our little egos, the characters we play, are safe because they are well established in some way. Sacrificing that power for the power to surrender. To playing your part. I've been looking at holistic videos on biology, Michael Levin, I think. And it seems so obvious that as a cell in the body does its job somehow, I don't know how. It is so tempting to infer some divine guidance. Some indeed, as they do, form, Platonic form even. Some telos. But if the end already is, then maybe there is a way to speak of the telos. I don't know. The one who we are becoming, calling us forward. Oh, yes. As the cells in the body know to become a skin cell on the finger, which is quite a peculiar thing. It has a pattern even. A very idiosyncratic pattern. We are mere cells in a greater whole. Somehow we know who to be. The problem comes, they said, Bernardo and Michael Levin, that when all that they were speaking about, I can't remember, that what a cancer cell is, for instance, is a cell that forgets that it is there for the sake of the whole and thinks it's there only for its own sake. And then it starts acting accordingly, hoarding resources, power, and refusing to play its part. Thinking it's about them, it, instead of realizing it's part of the whole, a beautiful, necessary part of the whole. Do you think all our cares should be directed at prolonging life? Direct quote. Another direct quote. The noble and the good may possibly be something different from saving and being saved. Not prolonging life, but deepening life. Having life and having it abundantly. Embracing life, amor fati. And I know I'm saying that completely wrong, I'm sorry. Not saving or being saved, but by suffering our part. Passion. Being done to, being played through. Participating in the whole and realizing that we are participating. Doing what we are called to do. And then there is the whole letting go of the outcome. Because I have been doing rituals. Strange and deep and rituals that's more me than I've ever been. Me. And now what's being asked is to let go of what I hoped the outcome would be. I did my part. I played my role. It's not easy. Nobody said it's gonna be easy, right? But maybe it is a game. The symbol, the symbol that I last drew was play. And I think maybe what went wrong is that I forgot that I was playing. And that I was blessed by such an extraordinary playmate. I started to take myself too seriously, which is something I warn against. You live, you learn, right? And Nietzsche. Nietzsche was the character I read about here. The first thing I read is that he pointed out, at least to this, according to this author, that we attribute agency where no agency, where we know no agency should be attributed. For instance, the wind blows. Because of our language and the way language shapes our thought. And hence we think also we are the agents. And enhancing our agency has become quite important in some fields. And I'm all for becoming more powerful in soul. But I'm not sure that that's by enhancing your agency. He says, strong skepticism means that truth does exist, but it's internal and esoteric of nature. Don't know how true that is of Nietzsche, or how much it reflects this author. He speaks of despair and of the realization that life sucks. Sometimes life is hard. And this deeper despair, I think, even that nihilism, a sense that there is no meaning to our suffering, which he says is the worst thing there could be. Not only suffering, but knowing that you are suffering meaninglessly. Undergoing passion meaninglessly. You can see I'm still in two minds. Like, do I embrace the idea that we are not suffering meaninglessly? We are in fact contributing to the greater whole, to the unfolding in a beautiful way? Or is it meaningless? I'm still not decided. Maybe I never will be. And maybe that's what I need to carry. And it says that the Christianity, religion, mostly, put like a plaster. Is it a plaster? That thing you put over a wound to cover it. Put that on the wound of our hearts, but didn't realize that there were poison in the plaster. And the poison was this life denying that we learn to embrace. Saying no to ourselves and to life because it is so hard. And I mean, I just did that. It ain't easy being a human, is it? But it's fun, I suppose. It has its good parts. For Nietzsche, eros is not a longing to overcome ourselves and to transcend to something higher, but to sink deeper in our humanity. To become more human than we already are. Becoming who you are. And I think there's a quote from Nietzsche saying your sexuality, the depth of your sexuality is a measure of the height of your spirituality, something like that. Because the sexuality, and that is probably why so many people associate the sexual awakening with with eating the apple in the garden, because that really grounds us. That really brings out the animalistic human in us and the divine human in us in extraordinary ways, or in extraordinary combination. There's no hope on salvation. So good that he says it's not about saving and being saved. It's about saying yes, the yes saying. And ironically, the yes saying admits the idea that this might be a tragedy. Because remember, Nietzsche embraced the Dionysian, and the Dionysian is associated with a tragedy. Embracing life admits the fact that it is a tragedy. Becoming the child, again, the play. Becoming a child. Not the camel who does everything it possibly can to improve itself, or the lion who roars against tradition, but going a step further and becoming the playing child. Amor fati, sorry for my pronunciation, is an alchemical practice. It is a type of insanity, just as Eros is a type of madness, insanity with Plato. And overgave, surrender to something that lies beyond reason. In the end, the source of this affirmation, the ability to say yes to life, is as mysterious as the source of trust or faith. And then the last thing I have marked, becoming who you are. Bestart for exist is, to a great extent, learning how to love. God knows that's something I need desperate training in. Maybe that is how we become able to be good, by surrendering to love. By being driven by love. By becoming love. That is how we take up our cross, take up our role, and play our part for the greater whole. Because we love. Sophia herself will guide our way.